Well, howdy everybody, Hellcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode, 201? We're starting into another one. Alright, today we gotta be working on the Salamander, which, to be honest, isn't bad, not great in some aspects, but, it's good. It does the job. It actually kind of does the same job as a awesome, but in some ways better than an awesome, in other ways not so good as an awesome, just because of the weapon systems it's carrying. But we'll just get into it here. The Salamander is an 80-ton mech. It is a 460. It does have XL engines, so that it can be a major problem for the Salamander, because obviously if you lose a torso, it's dead. So, that tends to be a problem. Other problems that it has is, you have lots of ammo on board because of the weapon system it carries around. And we'll just talk about that. Now, the interesting thing is, this is a mech that does have endo steel. Alright, that's good. So right there, you got 4 tons of savings just in the chassis alone, which, helps you carry around more weapons or armor, etc. Which, with a mech with an XL engine, it does have 247 points of armor, so that's respectable. That's actually armoring. It has a lot of armor on this thing that keeps it alive longer than you typically would find with a lot of mechs, where they kind of shortchange the armor aspect and just try to make them into glass cannons. It does have 10 double heat sinks, which are on the engine. Okay, that's standard operating procedure, which, and this mech gets away with it halfway decently. Now, the weapon systems on board, it has 3 LRM-20s. Alright, so this makes it a fire support boat. It has in the left and right torso at LRM-20 with 3 tons of ammo in case in the left torso. It also has that LRM-20 in the right torso with 3 tons of ammo in case. So, if you do happen to hit the ammo, the mech will die, but it won't totally explode. You just lose that torso inside, but then you have a chance of salvaging the mech, by replacing the engine. It's not a complete disaster where it just turns into a big pile of scrap scattered across the battlefield. It also has an LRM-20 in the left arm, and has 3 tons of ammo. So that is, my experience has been the one area that I have had been a tendency to cause this mech to die, is that the ammo in the left arm get hit and explodes, and you get the cascading effect that goes through the rest of the mech and then hits the torso and then blows out that torso, and then the mech is dead from the left side. More times than not, that has actually happened to me when I have played this mech before. The interesting thing is, it does carry around 2 medium lasers in the center torso for in-close support. That you might think is like, okay, it's got 3 LRM-20s with 2 medium lasers, so you're looking at 26 points of heat with this thing, and it dissipates 20. Yeah, in most cases that's not really going to happen, because you can fire the 3 LRM-20s and you're going to stay back with this thing, and it's a fire support mech, so you're not necessarily wanting to get close with it. And to be honest with you, most of the time with this mech, I was still, when I ran it and I had somebody getting close, I still just fired the LRM-20s at a target that was in optimal range and had the best chance of doing damage against it, because that's 60 points versus the 10 points that I can do with the 2 medium lasers. So I just kind of neglected those things. Now you can, because, well, obviously you do 18 heat with the 3 LRM-20s, and if you do run, that's 20. But typically you're only doing a walk with this thing in most cases, from my own experience. And you can throw in a medium laser if you need to, and still keep below that 5 point heat threshold, but you're going to lose a pip of your movement. So it is possible to throw a medium laser in there. Now, if you're one of those types that really don't care about the heat and you love to run yourself up the heat scale, you can do that with the 2 extra medium lasers pumping the heat up. But you do have to recognize the fact that eventually the Piper will come and you're going to have to start rolling off. It carries a lot of ammo. And you don't want to set off one ammo bay and then have this rest of it go off too, because it's like this explodes and then this explodes. Next thing you know, you got a massive crater. So yeah, you don't want to do that, but you can if you want to. It's your option, your mech. Now, like I said, I always like to look at this as runs in a similar aspect as the Awesome, because you got a mech here that makes a great direct fire support mech or an indirect fire support mech, which in some ways is more versatile than the Awesome, because the Awesome is a direct fire, but it's doing 30 points of damage. So yeah, that's really good, to be honest. But the Salamander, in one way, is that it can sit behind a hill or behind some woods and just sit there and empty its ammo bays into something. Let's say you got a point target. It can just say, okay, oh, you got a bunker right there, or a missile defense system right there with some LRMs itself, and you're not being targeted. Hey, sit behind there and indirect into it and just pummel it to death. And then when you come marching around, then you can fire in direct fire. So in one way, it is better than the Awesome. But as we know with LRMs, they're not 10-point shots, they're 5-point shots. And typically you're going to be doing 12. When a missile LRM 20 hits, it's typically 12 and 16s on an average, from my experience, when it comes to the amount of missiles that typically hit. So if you're doing 12, that's comparable to what you're going to have with an Awesome. So it's 10 versus 12 typically. And then occasionally you get those 16, so you're going to be doing a little bit of extra damage. But with Awesome, you got the 10, 10, 10, 10. Here you get 5s, 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 2s, or a 1 here and there. So you're scraping armor off with the Salamander while you're really gouging in with the Awesome. So it is one of those mechs that I can find myself using, because it kind of goes against goes against my philosophy of, I'm not a big fan of XL engines at all. But if I got a mech that can sit back and fire indirectly or at a distance and do some good work, I have a tendency to I'll let it slide a bit. It's when this mech gets in close, it's like you're fighting against a clan. You got a whole bunch of fast moving mechs. Let's say they got a scout star or something running up, and you're running against a bunch of, like, say, pumas and those kind of things, where dashers and dancers and prancers, you know what I'm saying, is that you got all these mechs that are running around extreme speed, and all of a sudden it's surrounding a mech like the Salamander. Those mechs will tear this thing to pieces, because obviously with the LRM 15 you got the minimum range problem with it, unless by chance you got one that's been retrofitted with clan LRM 20s. Hint, hint. And then you're able to do the Lord's work that way. But no, I digress. So yeah, it's one of those mechs that can do the job. Now there are a few variants of this. You got the 5T. We've been talking about the 5S. Now the 5T. This one upgrades it to a 5.8 mover, and knocked off, I think it is 2 tons of armor off of it, and it carries 3 LRM 15s. So the weapon systems have been downgraded from 20s to 15s, and the medium lasers now are small. So personally, I'd rather just have one small instead of 2 smalls, I'd rather have just one medium laser, to be honest. Still 3 LRM-15s. Basically, you have a bigger trebuchet, but at 80 tons. So it's possible now you got something that a 5.8 moving 80-ton fire support mech actually could be thrown into some medium lances for the inner sphere, where you got some of those mechs that are 5.8s also, like Shadowhawks and Griffins and Wolverines. It can provide some good fire support for a lance like that. So I can see where it can be used. I've never used this mech, but I can see its potential of being used in certain aspects. It still can get run down by fast moving, the 6.9s and 7.11s and get into its face and tear it to pieces. But, until that time comes, hopefully the rest of your lance is going to keep you safe. Then we got the 6S. This one increases the amount of close range support by removing one of the LRM-20s, replacing it with an SRM-6. Puts on Artemis fire control on the other 2 launchers and the SRM. And basically, that's not a bad option. You got something that's up close, so now you have you have 2 medium lasers and SRM-6 for up close, so yeah, you're looking at 10. So it's one of those mechs that you can run up a little bit hotter on the heat scale with this one if you fire everything, but typically, most likely you're going to fire the SRM and the 2 medium lasers, and maybe an LRM-20 downrange at something else, like a primary or secondary type thing. So it gives it a little bit more options to do some damage up close. So it might be, let's say you have a lance of the salamanders. That might be interesting. This one pulls into the bodyguard mode. All right, so then we got the 6T. This is one LRM-20 launcher has been removed to make for a pair of medium pulse lasers and a large pulse laser. And so now you have you got 2 LRM-20s, and you also have a large pulse laser. For it's one of those. It kind of falls into the 6S version, but now you're using energy weapons instead of missile weapons to do the same job. So it's kind of falls into the same role. But personally, I've never been a real big fan of the large pulse laser for the inner sphere. It's just contrary to me. It's like you're putting that much tonnage into a weapon that only shoots about as far as a medium laser. I'd rather take a bunch of medium lasers myself. Alright, then we got the 7S. This one removes the XL, replaces light fusion engine, so that takes care of the killing of one torso, killing the mech, so that I can get behind that. It does carry 3 LRM-15s with Artemis, and it has a pair of ER medium lasers and now has 4 jump jets. So, alright. And that's not bad. Like I said, this is 3 LRM-15s, still does a lot of good work, does a lot of damage, and now you got a mech that actually can maybe be tossed into a city fight, so it can go from one street to another, get around terrain better. I don't have a problem with that. I'm always kind of a fan of seeing jump jets. And then obviously with the light fusion engine, that is a major plus on a mech like this. And ER medium lasers, that's a little more heat for the range you're getting, for the same amount of damage. But it might make the difference between doing 10 points of damage or no damage, for in close. And then we got the 7T, which is the Dark Ages. Carries a boosted C3 slave unit, 2 extended LRM-15 launchers, 1 extended 10 launcher, and 11 double heat sinks. and it has an XL gyro on board. Okay, so a little more stability possibly. But personally, if you can't have all your LRM launchers the same, I personally would take that LRM-10 and replace it with maybe a direct fire weapon system or a whole bunch of medium lasers or something like that to take care of something up close. So I've never been a fan of having like two SRM6s and an SRM4. Either make them all SRM4s so you're all able to use the same ammo. Having different kinds of ammo on board doesn't make sense. So, alright, so that is the Salamander. Not bad, not great. It's not one that is overly offensive to me. I have used it to good use. It has a kind of a narrow niche what it works really good in. And if you try to put it in some place where it's kind of outside its niche, it doesn't do very well. But it is a decent mech that can be used to what its design purposes are. So if you find yourself in one of those circumstances where it's really working really good, get it out of there. That's save the mech for another day. That's the way I always look at it. Make the battle work for you, not against you. All right. Hope you guys like this one. Like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Helcrex out.